Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to...
Why do Europeans dislike Americans so much?
I'm asking questions about how Europeans see Americans.
I think it's a third world country with a lot of money. Very negative.
Very negative.
Yeah, I don't see anything positive about America.
I think they're a bit stupid. American TikTokers, they earn too much money with what they do. Like in Belgium, you have to work for a month,
So you're jealous, basically, is that what it is?
and they just make videos and that's
Oh
it.
my god. You know, I might be
I think
completely wrong about this, but
in different parts of the world, the paying rate is different for
What you mean?
TikTok.
Oh, for TikTok. Oh.
Yeah, so if you're like
course,
an American
of course.
TikToker, you get paid differently than a person like in France or
I mean,
in
yeah.
UK.
Same with us. We get paid by views differently from different countries.
Yeah.
Too. So it depends, you know.
But we're doing like kind of like the same thing.
As TikTokers?
No, like they're still making like content. So why is it really
Oh,
different? If we're
I mean,
doing content?
okay, cool. Nurses in Europe make different than what they make here. They do the same
I
thing.
know, and that's why they have the same argument, but it's different topic, different areas. It's like we don't create anything new. It's the same arguments, you know.
I think it was a little bit cooler to be American when I was a kid.
Gotta say, yeah, when I was growing up too, when I was living here, well, you have to watch the video, but I think America was more highly looked upon than it is now. I will say that as but we'll see what the people say.
I've lived in Europe for several years now, and look, I've romanticized this continent quite a bit. I really like living here. But there's a funny feeling that I cannot shake, and I think it has to do with how Europeans view Americans, or how Europeans view me when they discover that I'm American. And it's not entirely positive. This feeling has not gone away even though I've been here for a few years now. And it's not hatred, it's more like negative undertones, offhand comments or jokes that are made, and it makes me feel not very cool. And by the way, I recognize not all Europeans dislike Americans. That is a massive generalization. But I'm bringing this up because it's been enough of a trend for me to confidently talk about this as something that's really happening in the world. I don't think it's just in my head. It just seems like when it comes to Europeans' view of Americans, there's a lot to dislike. I don't necessarily entirely disagree. I have plenty of my own criticisms about the United States and the way of life over there. And I think that all places, all societies merit criticism. That's how we get better.
Right, the same way, you know, you could make a video, you know, what you dislike about Europe too. You know, every place there's something to dislike. It's kind of, I mean, if there is such thing that you like everything, it's a utopia, you know.
So this applies to everyone. But there's something deeper going on here that I want to explore. On a personal level, my own identity as American, but also the identity of Americans on the global stage. We don't live in a bubble. And it turns out,
I wonder why he wants to understand so much why someone else cannot like him. Like, because of where he's from.
Well,
What
so
is the goal in
his-
this understanding?
this is our second video of his, right? And in the other video too, it just seems like he's very like into learning more about himself. Like that's why he's doing this Euro, not trip. Like he lives there. That's why he did this journey to kind of understand himself more. It seems like it. So I guess that's just his personality. He's very like into like understanding himself, like very like deep analyzing himself. You know.
the whole world has opinions about us. Now, I have my own theories about what's going on here, but I thought I'd get to the root of the matter and ask Europeans themselves.
Yeah, I have some theories too, but let's see what they say.
You have theories? I want to hear your theories. Maybe you'll get some of his theories.
I'll conclude the video with my theories.
Okay.
It makes me a little bit nervous talking to strangers, but I'm just gonna go for it. What are the stereotypes?
Stupid
Pas
Americans.
une bonne phrase. Moi, quand je pense aux Américains, je pense à la bouffe et tout.
Stupid and
Dans quel
fat.
sens? Le fast food?
Ouais.
McDo. Ouais.
Hamburger et tout.
Mais les Français adorent McDo.
Oui, on était il y a 2 minutes.
C'est ça.
We were there
Okay.
only 2
See,
minutes
actually,
ago.
I like Americans because they are like very chill. America is like so expensive for good food. Like
Yeah.
for like fruits and all this fresh stuff,
That is
it's like so
true.
expensive.
J'ai deux visions un peu.
Ok.
J'ai la version où ils sont trop cool et tout, et la version vraiment le beauf américain.
Do you think those
That is
stereotypes?
also true. That's a good point. Yes, America is a very diverse country. There's definitely, you know, hillbillies, as she said, and there's normal people. So that's actually a great point.
Types about Americans are true.
Kind of. I have a classmate that is American, and we are talking like about our traditional foods. And the American was like, my typical food is hamburger, ice cream, like the McDonald's one. And we are like, oh, so McDonald's is your typical food? She was like, yeah, kind of.
Can I just take a couple minutes, ask a couple questions? It's okay if you don't have time. Okay, all good. Have a nice day. The Americans don't have time for me. That's kind of funny. Would you mind if I asked you a couple questions?
Polarized. Yeah. More than the Netherlands. Do younger people feel the same way or differently?
What is it? Polarized?
I thought they said polarized. I wasn't too sure. Oh, polarized.
Americans are polarized, extremely polarized. What does that mean?
That means left and right. There's no like mix in thoughts. In general, if you're a polarizing figure, people either love you or they hate you. There's no.
I understand. Well, in terms of politics, yeah, only two parties, but that's just politics.
About American?
I think even stronger.
Even stronger.
I think
Okay.
even stronger.
Yeah, the older people, I feel, maybe thinking of the World War II, World War I, which the Americans did a very good job by helping, because Europe was not doing very well.
Yeah. Ils connaissent que ce qui se passe dans leur pays.
Parce que, armés sur eux-mêmes.
C'est-à-dire que c'est pas pour eux, mais qu'ils s'intéressent pas trop aux autres pays.
They know about their own country, but not about like other stuff in the world. They're overrated.
That is true, but there is a reason for that. The reason for that is people have to work a lot to survive. Like they really don't have time to. You're not concerned with what's going on elsewhere. You're concerned in your own backyard. So it's like, it's not by choice that, oh, I don't care. It's about more so I don't have time to care. Now I care about my family, providing for my family. I feel like in Europe there's more luxury to free time. Because we've seen the reactions. People do say that, and I do think it's partly true.
But I don't think they're taking their free time to think about, oh, why we dislike Americans.
No, not why we dislike Americans, but they care more like, and also.
They're not doing that on their free time.
No, but he's not asking that then either. There's basically that her argument is Europeans are more care more about what's going on in the world as a whole versus Americans care more about what's going on in the States only. They don't care what's going on in, I don't know, Venezuela. That's what she's saying. However, I would say the reason Europeans also care so much about what's going on in America, particularly because they're really dependent on America. Like their life really depends, and we see that in our Discord, people say that the election to Europeans mattered a lot. Who's going to be the president? For us, we don't really care who's going to be French president. It doesn't affect us.
But also, in Europe, Europeans, they have to, especially if they're part of the EU, they have to know what's going on.
The great point. Yes,
in their space, because they have to.
They have to know what's going on in other countries, which is part of the EU, but it's other countries, not just France. French have to know what's going on in Germany. For us, we don't really have to. So it's like.
But do we have to, or the people that we select?
So the government, yes,
to manage all
exactly. We choose people to care about that. So. She is right. What she's saying, I do agree with that. But there is a reason for it. It's not just because, I go fuck others. It's not that. It's just, there is reasons for that. But she's right. I do think Americans care. They're more concerned with what's going on within the country.
They're overrated. How? Like, they receive too much attention?
Yeah, too much hype.
Too much hype.
Internet.
Are you also German?
Yes, I am.
And in Germany, you feel like German people have a positive view of Americans? Or
not really.
No, okay, so more negative.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you feel that there's been a change at all in terms of how Americans are viewed, like in the last 10, 15 years?
I think so, yes. Especially due to Trump.
I think so too. I think it's definitely changed, since I left. I noticed in that too.
And the Tea Party things have made it got more polarized and have made it more negative in my view.
There's more that I'd like to say about why I believe this dynamic is happening, why Europeans see Americans in this way. But before I do, I want to thank the sponsor, Den Hack, don't charge, and it was maybe a little bit cool. All right, time for me to share some of my own personal theories here. Here's why I think it was maybe a little bit cooler to be American in the past. I was born in the 90s, maybe like some of you. And back in the 90s, it's not like the United States, or the world for that matter, didn't have its problems. It definitely did. You're not going to get any of that classic, nostalgic, those were the days.
Also, I think what is important to notice. Here in the States, people openly talk about the problems. So Europe sees all the problems, because Americans, they put up with all on the table, all the problems. And Europe sees all that problems. They look, wow, so many problems. Whereas in Europe, the same problems exist. They just don't talk about it. They brush it under the rug.
Or not say it in front of the whole world.
Right, or maybe that, yeah. So like, you know, because they're saying, you know, oh, racism don't exist in Europe. Europeans are more racist than Americans. It's just they don't.
I don't know.
They don't talk about it. Like, it just is what it is. So like, you know, that's what it is. But the problems exist. They just go about it a different way. Americans, like, really, they talk about it. They put that shit on blast, you know, and that's, I think, also.
I've seen like people also pretend it doesn't exist too.
No, some people do, but the way, like, a lot of people just put it out there too, and it's not just racism, a lot of things, LGBTQ rights, like all that stuff too, you know. So.
Is kind of thing for me. But one thing I think we can all agree on is that back in the 90s, the internet had not yet completely taken over our lives like it has now. And in my view, the internet feels like it's taken whatever problems are existed and made them bigger and louder. That would actually be what the internet is best at. The fast transmission of ideas and information, which in turn amplifies them. And there's another thing that the internet is really good at, which is that it is a canvas for less curated or filtered versions of that information or ideas. There are less gatekeepers, so anyone can say anything. My theory is that as time has gone on...
yes, this is very true, because everyone seems to be like an expert, because they talk with such confidence and authority too as well. So it's like, does this person online, do they know what they're saying? They're spewing out these information as if it was facts, and people consume that, and there's no like fact checker to say, okay, this is incorrect, this is not incorrect, this is true. And usually the comments, they'll let you know, even you don't know if the comments, people in the comments know what they're saying.
Exactly, they might not know.
Because they say things with conviction.
As the internet has played a bigger and bigger role in our lives, the world has been exposed to a less curated version of the United States. You know, you had movies and TV and pop music.
I feel like that's how people know.
Yes, that is very true.
About the culture.
Very true, yes.
And that's like always glamorized, of course.
This is very true, The United States, I imagine, and you know, when I imagine when I came internet, it was around, but it wasn't like TikTok era where everything is out there. It was very... very different to what it actually is now, I imagine.
I was a little heartbroken because on TikTok there's this page that makes it its mission to expose like how, okay, if you're by the Eiffel Tower, they show you the romantic parts, the food, the people, the fashion, and then they show you the trash. It's like, okay, this is the reality of things. But I know it's not always going to be trashy, but it can be trashy. But the point that the internet just focused on that one moment and highlighted it, like, wow, this is like an impression on me, and it's up to me to really be responsible to kind of have the mindset, okay, it's not going to always be like that. It can be better.
Oh, but it wasn't like it is today with social media and even the news reaching so many more people.
Has Kyra texted you back?
I don't want to talk about it.
How's the math test?
Don't.
Nowadays, it feels like you cannot escape the news about the mass shootings that are constantly happening in the U.S. or the insane election cycles. I think in some ways, the internet might have taken away some of our innocence, right? Some of our
I
As a
agree.
result, even more curated versions of culture, like the highly produced TV shows and movies, are reflecting the things that we're seeing. The unintelligent or simple American is a very believable archetype and not a new one. You've got at least one.
Yeah, and also, you know, when it comes to Europeans, it's very like kind of Europeans' intelligence is put on the pedestal as if there's no dumb Europeans, because when you see stupid Americans...
British people, everyone think they're intelligent, I swear. Because they have a little accent.
Right. But
everyone think they're like higher IQ.
There's plenty of stupid people in Europe too. It's just, you know, I guess, I don't know, they don't put them on social media or what, or I don't know, they don't talk about, but the same way we see these stupid Americans, they exist everywhere. Stupid Asians, stupid Europeans, stupid... Latin Americans, stupid Africans.
Think no place is unique. We are the same.
Often more than one character that perfectly fits that archetype in pretty much all American sitcoms, from Friends to How I Met Your Mother. And there are plenty of shows that play off of this very intentionally. I think of South Park, Family Guy, and Simpsons. And internationally, the contrast is even more stark. It might just be me, but it does feel like the perception of Americans is deteriorating. And I'm thinking about shows like Emily in Paris or The White Lotus. The White Lotus in particular blew me away because it felt so believable.
I went to watch every time I was here. I went to watch White Lotus. Okay, is it good?
Isn't Black Friday next week?
I don't know.
It is next week. Oh my god! Yeah, Thanksgiving is next week. Well, anyway, I'll check. Maybe they have an HBO on sale.
Americans are not known for being refined or in touch with reality. This is particularly true of wealthy Americans. And why wouldn't Europeans feel this way? We are famously terrible at learning foreign languages. To many, we're seen as living in our own giant bubble.
A lot of people before.
Honestly, I feel like they're so spoiled because English is the easy language. And when people are learning an easy language and they're able to speak that language, then you don't feel that like the effort to learn a language is a little bit more complicated, more complex.
Well, the reason Americans don't feel the need to learn a second language is because most Americans, frankly, they don't travel. They don't even have a passport.
You don't have time to travel.
No,
in
right.
2 weeks, you can only 2 weeks for the whole year.
I think what is the maybe a little strange concept to me too when I first came, and definitely weirdest concept to Europeans. Americans don't have passports.
Oh yeah.
In
that's
Europe,
rare.
you have to
That's
have a passport.
Here, that's a great point.
Americans don't have. I don't have the statistics, so I'm not gonna pull it out of my ass and talk like I know the percentages. I don't, but I know a lot of people who don't have passports because they don't need them. They don't travel outside of the country, so you don't need a passport. So if you don't travel outside the country, why do you need a foreign language?
And if you want to travel out the country, you have the options of Hawaii, Puerto Rico.
Right. Yeah, you can go on a cruise without a passport, I think. Yeah,
and usually, I remember growing up, Hawaii was like the biggest trip that you could do as an American to go out the country, and you don't need a passport.
I mean, you don't go out of the country. Hawaii is to the country, though.
Oh, well, that's out the country because you take a plane.
You leave the continent. Okay, I get it. Yeah, so that I think that's important to know that you don't need a foreign language. Like in Europe, you kind of do need because you cross the borders another language. You have to know the language.
And
here you don't.
Also, it was seen as like it's only the super wealthy could go over to Europe. Hawaii was like the biggest vacation trip to go in growing up.
The US was like very cool and this really lovely place to go to, but I feel like everyone just thinks it's dangerous and they don't care about this. There's all these shootings going on, like their healthcare is horrible, their school is horrible.
So it's going to change.
I think it's always been like that. I think there's a change now because social media is is making it more apparent.
America used to be, the American dream, used to be a big thing. Like on crime, like homicides and all. So I think the narrative is changing a little bit.
Je vois l'Amérique comme une grande puissance mondiale. Et je les vois comme des capitalistes. En fait, si t'as de l'argent, tu vis bien, mais si t'as pas d'argent, il n'y a personne pour t'aider. Marche ou crève.
In France, we say...
That's a good summary of what it is.
The Americans are big and fat, but I love America with friends, the every friends.
Donc il y a des côtés positifs et des côtés négatifs.
Ouais, c'est ça. Globalement, les gens pensent ça, mais en même temps, tout le monde va aller à New York et tout le monde va aller aux États-Unis. C'est ça en fait. Ouais. Ils ont des préjugés, mais en même temps, c'est quand même un rêve d'y aller.
J'étais absolument ulcérée quand Trump était au pouvoir, de voir le comportement de cet homme. Ça donne pas envie d'aller forcément dans cette mission-là. Le fait que les gens soient très très armés. J'ai l'impression que je me sentirais pas en sécurité.
Most people love Canadians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you clarify you're Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, Canada. Where are you from in Canada?
For me, it's like a lot about the
That's
money.
lucky. That's so lucky to be from a country where people are so excited to hear and get to know you. They embrace you a little bit more. That's
So it's your country. And it's like, winners and losers and, you gotta make it and you gotta make loads of money and blah, blah, blah. And then, like, if you don't have money, like, basically fucked. I would say extremes. It's like an extreme, country. Like, very, very rich, very, very poor.
That is true. The middle class in America is shrinking, has been shrinking for a minute, so that is true. Yeah, that's something the government needs to work on somehow to bring back the middle class, because that is true.
Eat very much, eat very, very, very healthy, like extreme healthy, extreme, like XXXL and McDonald's, whatever.
Where are you from?
England.
Perfect. So I'm doing a video on Europeans' view of Americans.
So how is the difference in English and British? Is it the same?
Britain, I believe, is the kingdom as a whole. England is just England. So if I'm not mistaken, Britain includes, because it's called the Great Britain, I think it includes Scotland.
Because one couple was British.
One of the islands that it includes. I don't remember exactly. But there's like regions that Britain includes that England is just one of the regions, Wales, Scotland, and North Ireland. One of the, because there's Ireland, that's a separate country, and there's another island I don't remember right now. So that's also included in the Great Britain.
Europe. No, we're not. We love the EU.
No, this is Europe.
Do you feel like it's a more positive or a negative view of Americans?
I'd say negative. I feel like there's a lot going on there that's just a bit backwards.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we need to move along.
Yeah.
All the abortion laws coming in, and like all the gun crimes, things like that. Like, I imagine like most of the country is absolutely lovely, but there's some of the morals that are just a little bit off for me. So I struggle with that.
I agree, but I do think you're all like proper chatty and that, and you're really energetic.
Yes.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah,
It's
but I
nice
also
to
agree
meet
with that as well.
It's lovely to meet Americans.
Yeah.
I love meeting Americans.
Interesting.
Some can be not friendly.
Okay, so why am I so interested in this topic?
You know what's interesting to me is so this abortion she mentioned. I don't know how it is in Western Europe, but in Lithuania abortion is not legal at all. So to say that America's going backwards because they're trying to outlaw abortion, whatever.
He would have to talk to a Lithuanian to ask their
Right.
perspective on that.
I don't think that.
How does the east of Europe? Because I feel like every time we talk about Europe, we talk about the west side.
East of Europe. Well, they're a little more religious. So, and abortion. The whole argument is the religion. So, makes sense. But I don't know the laws for every country about abortion. But to point out abortion when some European countries don't have abortion, it doesn't exactly support their argument either.
Well, over the last few years, I have shared my journey moving abroad and looking for a home. Because that home is not the United States. I just don't feel connected to that country.
Is this before the other video you
the other video was like a couple
After?
days ago. This is a year old,
Even though I'm coming to realize that it did shape me in many ways. I'm just trying to find my place. But as I've said before, different people will treat you in different ways based off of how they perceive you. The first time I experienced this was during my high school exchange in France when I was 16 years old. Obama was president, and regardless of your personal political opinions or feelings, he was seen in generally positive light abroad. So in a weird way, even though I was not responsible for electing him, I wasn't even of age to vote, that scored me some cool points. And on top of it, 16-year-old French kids living in a small town in the west of France thought it was cool that I rode a yellow bus to school and that I had my own personal locker in the United States. So I was benefiting from all these things that I didn't control. Then I get to Argentina a few years later, and I see what it's like to be on the flip side, where the general sentiment was more negative. I'm generalizing here, but there's a bit of an anti-American streak in Argentina. And I think this comes down to the image that the United States has of being a bit of a bully. I mean, Che Guevara is a bit of an anti-American, anti-capitalist symbol, right? So that was a very different experience, and now I'm back in Europe, and I've been here for a while, and the perception has changed yet again.
90% of the Dutchmen think Trump is quite strange.
Yeah.
They think Republicans are also quite strange. Americans are very Puritan.
This might just be me, but I do feel like the image of Americans has deteriorated a little bit over the last 10 years. So that might come down to...
That's the thing. I feel like I mentioned the election already before, that Europeans are very affected by it. That's why they're so concerned. Overall, I feel like they're more affected by our president than we are. For us, it's more the Congress that matters, not the president. For them, it's the president, because he's like the dealing with other countries. That's his job, literally. Locally here,
But today is really bad because he has control of the.
Nowadays, it's not good for us either, because he has the control of everything. No, not he. The Republicans have the control of everything, so now they can actually pass the laws. Yeah, so it's not good for us either now. But
I'm like on a 4-year hiatus right now.
The government is currently in power. It might come down to social media. This is a very complex thing.
It's funny. Yesterday I got a notification on the phone. It said, Italy is offering $1 homes to people that want to escape.
They always been
but they always been up.
What a hustler!
Yeah, we about to do a reaction to that someday.
I can't point to a single reason, but it's definitely a feeling that's there. Now, on a personal level, before I realized that this was going on, I was kind of unintentionally overcompensating. I felt like I needed to show that I wasn't the out-of-touch American in Europe. And the same thing happened to me in Argentina, where I was speaking with as much slang as I possibly could that I picked up over there, even when it was just way too much, when it was inappropriate. Esa palo, boludo, está re piola, pibe, mal. Why was I acting like that? Was there a deeper need within me to be accepted by the people that I am surrounded by? To me, it's a little bit
You see, that's why I look at him and I'm like, why do you need approval from others? Just be yourself. You can't control other people's, what they think of you. And that's because we're at like different levels and stages in life, where my focus in life is not so much to what other people think of me, but how do I feel about myself and what do I want to project. And what I project is what I project. That's in my control. What's out of my control is what people receive from me being me.
That way, because it's overcompensating for something, which in this case was the identity that people were associating with me. Whatever it was, the out of touch, stupid American, or whatever it might be. But that's actually a me problem, not a problem with the world. I've come to realize that people can think whatever they want about you. It doesn't change who you are. If people see me as yet another dumb American, it doesn't mean that's true. And also, it doesn't mean all Americans are that way. I think we all know this. We all know
if anything, it reflects on them, because that's their closed-minded mentality that they see the whole nation as one. So it's their problem. It's not your problem, definitely.
Individuals don't necessarily follow the stereotypes, but
because it's like we can do the same thing about each European country. We can find a stereotype and say, like, in Italy, for example, there's the whole TikTok pickpocket. Oh, we can say,
pickpocket.
All Italians are thieves,
no.
Come on.
No.
So how people operate in a world of 8 billion.
If anything,
I can't blame
that
people for having
even contracts with. There's this wonderful lady. She alerts everyone, even like the tourists. She says, "Attention, attention, pickpocket."
Get an idea about the place that I'm from, considering how much culture is exported from that place. A part of me used to try to distance myself as much as possible from anything and everything American. But the truth is that
I feel like
at least
fall for that
some piece of me has been influenced by my upbringing there. There are a lot of things I don't like, but there are some things that I do. It's genuinely being very enthusiastically excited about simple.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was such an American thing. Oh no, is it?
I don't know. But I feel like you can say that about everywhere you live. There's something you like, something you don't like, and it should be like, as I said earlier, if there's everything you like, then it's a utopia, and utopia doesn't exist.
That's why it's so interesting, because like, for example, I really, really love Miami, but Miami has changed so much because people from different parts have come and influenced it, so it's not the same Miami that I know. So it's like interesting when I see like people when they say, okay, well, I'm not gonna be here anymore, I'm gonna move to this place. So you're gonna now be impacted by this place, and your influence can scare the people who live there. So that's why I feel like there can be some sort of hesitancy when foreigners, like Americans, come over to other places, and they're hesitant to say, oh, you're going to change what we love about this area, because we have a certain lifestyle that is different from what you know, and you may impose that,
Maybe change is too strong, but influence.
And especially with Americans, because they, like you said, they're very energetic, outspoken, and they're very pushy on this thing,
Whole things is the dumb American thing to do, then fine, maybe I'm a dumb American sometimes, because that is something that comes naturally to me. I would rather be myself and accept the consequences than try to be someone that I'm not. And you know what? Everyone wants to feel welcome wherever they are, and especially in their home. But the reality is that that's actually a luxury, not a given. So many immigrants in the United States were never made to feel that way, despite the fact that the country benefited tremendously from all the immigration, all the people that risked their lives to go build something over there. Honestly, I don't have it that bad.
But if you say,
who am I kidding?
Or what about slavery?
The people that risked their life.
Or what about slavery? People that didn't even get to choose and still got mistreated.
That's true. Wow.
To go build something over there. Honestly, I don't have it that bad. Who am I kidding? I don't have it bad at all. It could be so much worse, and oftentimes, exploring this topic has really given me quite a bit of empathy for the immigrants that are very poorly received all around the world. So, what do you think about everything I just shared here? What is your perception of Americans?
That's nice. He's very thoughtful. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, this was interesting video. Thought-provoking.
Yeah. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.